Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Marshall Township Planning Commission meeting, June 16th of 2026. The meeting is called to order at 7:01 p.m. First of all, I'd like to welcome our new planning commissioner, Mr. Rick Redmond. So welcome to the Planning Commission. This is his first meeting. Glad to have him. And then with that, I'll turn it over to our secretary for roll call.
Chair Johnson. Present. Vice Chair Sly. Here. Commissioner Riggs. Here. Commissioner Buller. Here. Commissioner Summers.
Here.
And Commissioner Redmond.
Here.
And Commissioner Woods here. We have a full house tonight. You have a quorum.
With that, if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, we are on item E of the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. I do have one modification, and that is item H. The public hearing scheduled for this evening is canceled. Once we get to that item, after the approval of the minutes, we will need to set a new public hearing date. That's due to the meeting notices not being mailed to the residents within 300 feet of the property. So my apologies there to Mr. Kyle Paulus. But with that modification, is there approval of the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
We have a motion by Commissioner Sly, seconded by Commissioner Summers, I believe. Any questions or discussion on the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The agenda is approved. Motion carries. We've reached the first part of our agenda for public comments. These public comments are reserved for agenda items only. We do ask that you keep those to agenda items. If I'm not sure if your speaking applies to an agenda item, I may request and ask a question on which agenda item it applies. But again, the first public comments is on agenda items only. There will be a second opportunity for public comments towards the end of our meeting for just general public comments on anything related to the Planning Commission. So with that, if anybody's interested, please come forward to the podium. Make sure the mic is on for any public comments on agenda items only.
Connie Wireman, Marshall Township, 16 Mile Road. I see under one agenda item L, unfinished business with Mr. Brown, special use land use suspension parcel. As I understand it, he has got all his fencing up. So what is this going to be about?
Connie, we will talk about that and answer your question when we get to that item.
Okay.
Okay, Eric Dale. I just want to confirm before my, section comes up. I was sent an email, Joanna, it was your name, it was for an invoice. I came in yesterday, talked to Carl. He thought it was just a fraud email. I just wanted to make sure that you're aware if you didn't send this from the Planning Commission, I'll give you a copy of it.
Yeah, I don't know anything, anything about this.
The email was well-written, formatted, and it talks about wiring, which obviously if you want to wire money to a municipality, that would be a negative. I just wanted to bring it to your attention that email was sent to me.
And when did you, I'm sorry, normally we don't go back and forth, but I'm curious. When did you speak to Carl about this?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
I
Okay.
stopped in yesterday to ask Carl and said, hey, is this legit? Because a wire transfer makes you a red flag, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute here.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just wanted to make sure the township's aware that that was sent to my email from the planning commission
Okay.
as an invoice that says, hey, you need to pay, $3,800. Just so you're aware that it's
Yes,
out
no,
there,
thank you.
in
Thank you
case
for that.
someone
I was
gets-
not aware of it
gets
till
sent
just
back.
now. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm speaking about item M on the agenda. And again, Richard Lindsay, I'm the attorney for the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance, and I'm also Marshall Township President, 15509 17th Mile Road in Marshall. First of all, I just wanted to make sure that and with Mr. Redmond as a new Planning Commission member, make sure all of you are aware relative to the master plan that there are statutory requirements that you need to follow. They are set forth in MCL 125.3831. There's several other ones, but this is the one in particular. In the preparation of a master plan, the Planning Commission shall do all the following: make careful and comprehensive surveys and studies of present conditions and future growth within the planning jurisdiction with due regard to its relation to neighboring jurisdiction. Consult with the representatives of adjacent local units of government in respect to their planning so that conflicts in master plans and zoning may be avoided. And C, cooperate with all departments of the state and federal governments, public transportation agencies, and other public agencies concerned with programs for economic, social, and physical development within the planning jurisdiction, and seek the maximum coordination of the local unit of government's programs with these agencies. And with that as background, I would like to again raise the issues that I raised in the last meeting. Maida is the owner of the bulk of the properties from 13 Mile to 12 Mile Road. There was a master plan that's currently in place that was approved by the County Planning Commission and then by the Township Board. And in reliance on that, MDOT and the state have put millions and millions of dollars of improvements into M96 and I-69 11 Mile road intersections. Maida is formally requesting that there be no change in the areas being designated as industrial between 13 Mile Road and 12 Mile Road. There's also reference in the draft plan to limiting future development to a utility corridor that's defined as running from the water tank to the city limits. And again, the utilities don't stop at the water tank, right? They run all the way to the township border with Emmett. And we would request that that be modified so that, again, the property that's been developed, purchased by Maida and developed by the state with state resources, be allowed to be developed. And then I mentioned to you also last time about the Glen Eden subdivision. And again, Maida is in the process of tearing down the last few houses there. There is one life estate property left that will remain there as long as the owner remains there. But that is going to be turned into, it's going to be basically unplatted through a circuit court action. So we would ask that that be changed so that it's reflected as being zoned industrial in the future. And with that, I'm always glad to answer questions. I look forward to your discussion about the master plan tonight.
Richard?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
What was the MCL?
The MCL is, actually, I can approach, I'll just hand it to you. It's 125/38/31.
38.
Richard, I do have a question for you. Sorry, that's really loud, isn't it? Is Maida a public entity?
Maida is a nonprofit.
It's a nonprofit, but it's not a public entity.
It's a nonprofit.
So it's not a public entity. Otherwise, you'd be subject to FOIA, right?
It's a nonprofit.
So you're not public. Yes or no?
It's a nonprofit.
You are not public in regards to the MCL related to the notifications and cooperative effort.
It's something that was required for Maida.
Pardon me?
I did not cite that as something that was required for Maida.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that was clear and that Maida would be a property owner, just say like any other property owner. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions from anybody?
Yes, you spoke about our future land use map with the utility corridor stopping at the water tower.
Tank.
How does that restrict anything in the mega site? Because that's not under township control. You can still do what you want there. The utility corridor for the township is on the north side of
Can I
the
step to this map
96.
and just?
Sure.
Good, okay. So, as I understand it, and again, I'm reading through with the last version of this, so I'm still trying to understand it. So the water tank is right here,
Mhm.
right? So this is the corridor, basically running over to the.
Yes.
So all of this is 425.
Yes.
This is not 425, this is not 425, this is not 5. This actually is, Mr. Kowalski, that was a mistake. This is not 425, and this is not 425. So it's this parcel of property and that parcel of property. Talk about. All of that's included in the master plan right now, it's being zone industrial, except for Glen Eden. So that's the other piece I'm talking about, that's gonna be basically unplanted through a circuit court action. That answer your question? Yes, sir.
Kind of.
That is in the master plan and it's on what?
It's zone.
That's the future land use map that is in the draft in the master plan presently.
Right, that's gonna become.
Only for the properties adjacent to M96. I think we're, just would be the last question. Shelley, go ahead. Go ahead.
Does that answer, Mr. Slide, answer your question?
Somewhat.
And again, I'm trying to interpret what you're doing and watching it, so if I've got things wrong, this is what I would like to see, so.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else on public comments on agenda items? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we'll move to item G, which is the approval of the minutes of May 13th of 2026. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Riggs, seconded by Commissioner Slide to approve the meeting minutes of May 13th of 2026. Any questions or comments related to those? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Commissioners, this item H, is needing to be rescheduled, as already noted in the approval of the agenda comments. Is there a thought process on when we would like to reschedule, or schedule, I should say, either a special meeting or have this be part of our July 7th agenda, understanding that we need back again enough time for the newspaper, mailings to the residents, as well as, I think it has to be within 15 days. At least 15 days. Oh, there it is again. We need at least 15 days for the notice requirements prior to the public hearing. So is there some feedback on that, commissioners?
I think we have enough time for the July 9th meeting, considering we're kind of in flux on, or July 7th, excuse me, July 7th meeting, since we're kind of in flux on who does what.
We can make the July 7th meeting. We will make the July 7th meeting. Okay.
Are we set up notification wise through the advisor and everything?
Because it takes, yeah, what, 2 weeks? They,
Yeah,
Outside.
I'm sorry, it won't have enough time because it would have to be in the paper this Saturday in order to be 15 days before. And that would have had to been sent yesterday.
yeah.
Well, I will say that Trent was able to get a notice in a short period of time, so it's something that we sure can try. I can prepare the notice immediately and send it over, and that would be the best we can do.
Well, commissioners, keep in mind further on our agenda related to the special land use, we'll have to set a public hearing for that as well. So just consider that, that maybe this is something we could do at the same time. That's just a thought. I know we're not at that agenda item yet, but so we have, what I'm hearing is potentially July 7th, but I'm hearing we may or may not be able to get that into the newspaper.
I believe is that Monday? Is that,
Which was yesterday.
which was yesterday. Or in order to get it, yeah, technically 50 days before would be the 23rd, but not a newspaper, there's only newspapers on.
Or another newspaper we allowed to publish it.
Has to be majority of population, so Battle Creek does not. There's only 2 newspapers that qualifies as the.
Then we're left with the option of another month or a special meeting.
Commissioner Sly just mentioned then we are left with 2 options, which would be a special meeting yet in July potentially, or our August meeting, which is, I forget the date of our next meeting.
August 4th.
August 4th, yes, pardon me. And that one will be held at the fire station as well because of the elections.
Well, if we're going to have it at the fire station, it might be a big meeting. Potentially, is there enough room there?
I honestly don't know. I know we would not have audio or a recording at that meeting, so it may behoove us to have a special meeting so that maybe we can have it recorded. What about the availability the week of the 22nd? Or wait a minute, I'm sorry. The week of the 13th or the 20th?
I'm good for any of those.
Would Monday the 13th work? A Monday?
I'd take it out another week.
20th?
That week.
The 20th is the township board meeting. Availability, commissioners, on July 21st. It would be Tuesday.
I'm available.
We have a quorum, yes? Commissioner Summers, would you be available on July 21st? Okay. Commissioner Woods? I can be. Sly? Commissioner Riggs? Buller? And Commissioner Redmond? Well, I think we've got a quorum at least. This sounds like consensus is. Would someone like to make a motion to hold the public hearing for Mr. Kyle Paulus zoning map amendment on Tuesday, the 21st at, I assume, 7 o'clock p.m.? Or July, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. There's a different time that works for anybody. If anybody wants to do a different time, we can certainly do that. We can make it earlier at like 4 if you wanted to, I would think. Just throwing it out there. Oh, that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, I think.
7 o'clock, okay.
7 is easy for.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Summers to hold that special meeting for the public hearing on July 21st at 7 o'clock p.m. Is there a second to that motion? Okay, discussion.
Well,
Commissioner Buller.
just to be clear, there'll be two items on the agenda, correct?
We can certainly make that motion when we get to that item, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so for right now, it's just for the dog kennel.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Other questions or comments related to the July 21st date? No?
I'm good with it.
Okay. So with that, we have a motion that was made by Commissioner Summers, seconded by Commissioner Buller for a public hearing on the Kyle Paulus zoning map amendment application for July 21st at 7:00 PM. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And our sincere thanks to them for their patience. So thank you. We are now moving on to item I on the agenda, and glad to have Naomi Carr here from Carr Brothers and Sons, and we're going to have an update on the gravel pit on L Drive North. So Naomi, welcome, and make your way to the podium. We appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you.
These are all things that you may have already seen, but just want to make sure that everyone has a copy while we're going over everything. You're welcome. So as stated, I'm Naomi Carr with Carr Brothers and Sons, and also with me is my dad, Bill Carr. I'm going to give just a very brief history of who we are as a company, then transition right into going over everything. Carr Brothers and Sons, we're a family-owned sand and gravel company founded in 1957. The Carr brothers would be my grandpa and his brother that started the business. And then the Ann Sons would be my dad, his brothers, and cousins, a few of which that are still active in the business, and then myself being third generation. I really appreciate that you folks allowed us to be part of this special meeting, and also that you came out earlier, a number of you, to visit our site and learn more about us and see everything that we have going on out there, and also Shelley for the correspondence back and forth, and then she was able to come visit us a couple weeks ago to go over a few more things additionally. So moving right in, on the right side of your packet, I wanted to put an overview of the entire Quinn property. This is a property that we expanded into in 2021. And the purpose of that is for materials that are then produced on our Counterwise property that many of you would be familiar with as the Parker Pit. We started with the Parker family back in the 80s. The pit itself was opened in the 60s, and that was used to build I-69. So again, we've been there since the 80s, just working through the deposit, and that's where we process all the material. But needing more material to be processed, that's when we moved on to the Quinn property in 2021 and approached the township at that time, and were granted a conditional use permit. And then this is part, of course, of our review and you folks coming out to see us. So again, I just wanted to include that overview so you could see the property in its entirety. And these photos were taken last month on the 21st. So the photos to follow are kind of a zoned in or outlined area of this first photo. So it gives you a perspective. So the second photo you're going to see outlined in yellow is going to be where we're actively mining. Now, when I say that, we've outlined 10 acres because if you look in that northeastern quarter, you're going to see where the material or overburden is stripped back. But the area that it would be currently active is 7 acres. And that's what we originally discussed when we were out there, because the bond was one of the issues that got brought up. We were still running under the original 5 acres. So there was a few additional acres that needed to be added, but I didn't quite feel comfortable with the 7 acres until I was able to fly this drone, which I got training for about a couple days before we did this. And I felt more comfortable with saying 10 rather than 7, giving us some grace because we know we're going to be working into that northeastern area that you can see that is stripped and ready to be able to go. And when I say it's stripped, just so everyone understands, I'm sorry I use terms that are common in our world but might not be common for other folks. What we're doing is you can almost think about taking the frosting off the cake. So that's going to be your top soil and clay layer. We peel that back. Sometimes you leave a little bit of clay depending on the material you're making, But everything underneath that topsoil and clay layer is going to be the material that we're looking for to be able to process. So that goes, again, into that acreage that we needed to report to you folks for our bond. Next, you will see the actual bond that it has been increased. I actually just got that yesterday, and we had submitted for it right after we found out the total 10 acres, but we just got that back for you folks, and there's a copy of that included. The next question that came up today, and I worked with Shelley, was how much of the actual acreage has been reclaimed? And you folks were able to see that when you came out. And sometimes people think that it hasn't even been processed yet because it looks and mirrors so much what the natural lay of the land did before. So we are nearing, as of the last month on the 21st, 14 acres. It was 13.5. Now again, that's almost a month ago. So there's steady reclamation happening as we're producing. So they're moving to the east. You can kind of see right here is our Hall Road going down in, and then it kind of gets a little squiggly right there. That's where they're actually working and kind of chasing around, and they're going to chase back where these guys are pulling the material out, if that makes sense. And if you want me to point that out to you closer in person, I can too. And then the last photo I wanted to include is just the overview of all of the parcels so that you see where that Quinn property, which is that farthest north property, and you're going to see a distinct line. That's actually our conveyor system that moves that material from the Quinn property over to the Parker property where the processing all takes place. So that's an overview of the property in and of itself. I did want to include some local projects that our company is part of. I won't take the time to read through all of them, but I just want folks to know that we are active and involved in the community. And that's as far as whether it's the high school, whether it's the Calhoun County Fair, local builds, local improvements that people are making around their homes. Just wanted to make sure to highlight some of those things. I know there's a lot of large projects going on in the area, and I just want folks to know that we are more than just the larger projects that we're working on. We do value those projects, but we also value the smaller projects and that we're able to work with local community members as well. And some of the local community relations, I also wanted to put on there also. We are very blessed to be able to donate to the Calhoun County Fair. Local fire departments, we've had some properties that we've been able to donate where they can do training, and that's touched a lot of townships. That's only better for all of us when our firefighters can have that ability. And then we also do tours. We had our congressman out last year, and just really not only saying what's important for our industry, but for local community. I know that's one big thing that all of us need is improvement on our roads, and part of that is getting the funding to be able to do so. So that's one thing that we really try to push is we're seeing a lot of improvements at the state level, but we all need to see a lot of improvements at our local levels as well. And then I'll go into the phases. Sorry, I didn't bump the mic. That really correlates with the pictures that I showed, but this is what was in our original submission for the ordinance. So I just wanted to make sure to include that as well. You'll see that we are currently through phases 2, 3, and working on 4. We're actively in 4, 5. Phase 1 is where our drive and conveyor system goes underneath, so that it is technically complete as far as the mining, but as we're working our way back out, that's how that reclamation will take place. And that is all I have at this time, unless there's any further questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So you advertise it on Parker's, you process wash gravel. Where does the water come from for washing and where is it disposed of?
So it's actually called a closed loop system. So we use the ponds that you're going to actually see right in that photo, the very last one, and then recycle the water and reuse it again.
And that's actually over onto the original Reith Riley property?
There is one on Reith Riley as well, but the one that I would be referencing is going to be in that southeastern sector. Yes, sir.
But that is, must have been clay lined and whatever, the state specifications.
We work with
I
Eagle
assume
on those
state.
projects. Yes, sir.
So it really shouldn't have anything to do, it shouldn't affect anybody's water wells.
We're not depleting into the water table, correct? Yes, sir.
Change the water.
No dewatering or anything of that nature happens on our locations.
So this picture on Quinn's, where you're working now, is that as far as you're gonna go? Or part of it where I see green, you're gonna progress over more? Or is that it? You-
So the outline is the boundaries of the 100-foot setback. There is potential with one of the landowners that there might be an opportunity, but that I believe we will work with the township to get that approved at that point in time if that moves forward. But for the Quinn property, in the sake of conversation today, yes, that would be the perimeter.
And so you've taken 10 acres?
It is 25 acres in total.
And that 25 acres was part of the 2021 special land use or conditional use permit.
Yes, ma'am.
So considering the setbacks, this is the current, our setbacks, the current outline of the area of work.
As of the 21st, yes, the very
Yes.
current photo.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, so you won't go any further than what we see stripped right now without reapplying?
Correct. There may be just a little bit more that they can go this way to tidy that up, but it would have to respect that 100-foot setback of Kiesling's property at that point in time.
Right. That's not a situation for Keys when a little strip.
Commissioner Summers, any other questions for Naomi? Commissioners, other questions? Commissioner Sly. Oh, excuse me, Commissioner Woods.
On this page here,
Yes, sir.
shows the phase, doesn't show the phase, but shows the sections with the acres, adds up to 18.6 acres,
Okay.
this one here. And you said you've reclaimed 13.5,
That's correct.
so you've roughly got 5 acres left is all, correct?
I'm thinking that this is within the berms, and we put our berms in the 100-foot setback. So my measurements might be a little overstated then, because I measured the berms in my 13.
You measured the berms in this one?
In this one, because this
In the
is my
reclaim-
most recent
In the reclaim?
measurement. This one right here.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is the whole project, according to this, is 18.6 acres.
Correct. Inside, it would be 25 in total.
Right, but the
because-
setbacks.
Correct, with the 100, yes,
Right, so
Yes.
you've got 18.6 acres you can use.
in total,
Right,
correct,
and you've reclaimed 13.5,
correct,
so that leaves 5 acres,
yes,
5.1.
approximately,
So how long do you think that is gonna last you guys?
project specific. So it just depends on the need for the materials. So we can go through a few acres in a year if we have a larger project, but if there's not larger projects in our years, that can go slower.
You have done what percentage of it right now?
I would say we're 80. Would you say about 80%? 3/4.
So you really, by 28, you're gonna be requesting to move over onto the neighbor's property.
That's not defined at this point in time.
Projects.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
How deep do you go? And when you reclaim, how much is put back? What's the total loss of land depth-wise?
It all depends on the deposit. And I know you're going to think that's just kind of but it just depends on how deep that material goes. Because if you run into like a sugar sand or something that would be unsuitable for us, that we're not seeing a benefit of going deeper. And then it's always project specific to the layout of the gravel pit and what the reclamation plan is. We have some that we're digging lakes and making it into a residential where there might be a subdivision. This one's going to be going back into a farm field. So a lot of the lay of this land is actually going back. So we've taken, I believe, 30, 35 feet for the high walls, correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah, everything has to be contoured so she can actually raise hay.
Yeah.
Do her hay harvest.
So each site is a little bit different, and that's something that we plan out in the beginning. And then there is some room for modifications depending on how that deposit lays in the ground, because it's all glacial deposit. So we might have really good stone in one area and get over to another part of that parcel, and it might just not exist the way that we hoped it would. So I know that's kind of a broad answer.
Inevitably gonna end up with a pond somewhere contouring down to it.
Not this site. Nope, this site's gonna all be leveled back up. You're welcome to come out and I can show you. It's quite surprising how it contours almost naturally back to what it was before.
It was kind of hilly before.
Yeah, so that one main hill isn't gonna be there. It'll be more swooping, which will be nice for the landowner too, for her to raise her hay.
Any other questions? Commissioner Woods?
On your color-colored map,
Yes.
is there a legend to go with each of the colors?
That was just something I did for our engineer to help them too.
But that's kind of this map here is kind of irrelevant because you're already working the whole thing.
We have reclaimed the 1 through 3, and we're more in the phases 4 and 5. And let me make sure I understood your question correctly. Did I?
I'll just, you've got a different color code for each of the sections. And I just wondered if there was a legend to describe what each of those sections.
No, it wasn't that. No, it was just for our engineers. No, you're okay. I just tried to make it easy for them so they knew exactly what the phases were. One, our culvert goes through that most southern, and then our driveway. But that will be where we start working our way out as well. So kind of the first in, last out.
Any other questions, commissioners? All right, Naomi, I have a few.
Okay.
Well, first off, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing us to come out to the site. Commissioners, Shelley has worked with Naomi. We are trying to ensure that we're complying with our zoning ordinance, hence the new surety bond that the previous one expires July 3rd. So this one is the new one, as Naomi described. So thank you for that. And it's from our zoning ordinance that adjustment is made. So again, following our zoning ordinance related to the mining extraction surety bonding certificate. So just a few questions. Can you, just for the audience and for us here, and I know you told us this when we were out at the site, can you describe the Reith Riley portion of it? And most of these folks have lived in this community longer than I have, but related to your operation.
So I wouldn't feel comfortable to answer on their behalf as far as, I don't want to speak for another company.
Fair enough.
But they are a wonderful company to be beside and a company of character and integrity, so.
Right. So they have a portion of the area near your
I
operations.
can point that out if that would be helpful.
Sure.
At least. Yes, sir. You can almost see, well, the driveway down at the very bottom,
Mhm.
and then the tree line at the very top. That would be our dividing line. So they're going to be everything to the west, and we will be everything to the east. And then they would go right up to the Quinn property. So they would be that portion. We are only on the Parker. Now, we do perform some washing for Reith Riley, but that would be working for them.
Right, right. And that was all the explanation I
Okay,
was
I'm
looking for.
sorry.
No, that's okay. Just to explain that there's another company that shares, let's just say shares space or in the vicinity of your work. So thank you. Thank you for
Yes.
that. Well, in all transparency, I will say I live right down the road from you all, and you were here far long before I was. So I appreciate you being good neighbors and good stewards. Just a couple comments, because we've had those here at the Planning Commission. Frankly, they've been at the Township Board as well, related to truck traffic. So we know from the 2021 information, when you came in for the conditional use permit, it was, what, 700,000? I got it right here. In terms of material, hang on. I think we talked about this out on site as well. I'm sorry, you estimated quantities to maintain current extraction rates, approximately 700,000 to 1 million tons. We have certainly gotten feedback. I know you've got a list of the local projects. We know there's been a lot of big projects in the area. So for the last 3 years, property owners in the area, again, I haven't clocked it or done a traffic study, but there have been increased truck traffic. I know one of the items that Shelley talked with you about was working with the county road department, trying to stay on those primary roads. I have seen trucks on H, again, but you've been very cordial when we reach out to you. So we are trying to stay on primary roads. Obviously, the road that this is on is a local road, so you have to get out to a primary. So I just wanted to just share that we have received feedback. You're not the only truck traffic, so we need to clarify that. But just appreciate you, following, I know you do, the permitting, and that the drivers are made aware to stay on those primary roads, which 15 Mile Road is one, L is one, that, so.
And if there's ever anything that we need to address on our end, let me know, because we do have meetings with the drivers, even if they're not ours. We catch them as they go through the scale house. Again, like you mentioned, they're not all our trucks, but we do try to be diligent, good neighbors to tell the drivers where they need to be and not to be.
Okay, thank you. Also, the hours of operation, I know in 2021, I believe it was Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Saturdays, I want to say 6 to 3, roughly, I think. So is that still what you're that's still trying to stay within those means, right?
At that extraction on the Quinn side, yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry, that's what I was speaking of. Okay, great. And I know there is some sound. I think a lot of it's just the conveyor and as you move around the property. But I haven't heard anybody, at least initially, come in or have any thoughts on that. So again, just appreciate you being neighborly, appreciate you being here today, appreciate you welcoming Shelley and us out there and inviting us there. You've been a long time, company here in the area, and just appreciate you reaching out and being here tonight.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having us.
Any other questions? Naomi, Bill, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, our next item on the agenda is our zoning ordinance. Commissioners, I'm sharing this, both Dwayne and I as the vice chair and myself as the chair. We are working with Shelley, our zoning administrator, just to ensure that we are following our zoning ordinance. And if we are not, or there's a change that's needed, we're trying to keep track of and trying to understand items in the zoning ordinance and how to use them. But we are indeed trying to ensure that we're following the zoning ordinance that, in our minds, is the law, right? It was approved by the township. It's what we must do to ensure that we have consistency with those that we serve here in the township. Shelley, I don't know if you want to come to the podium, but just kind of talk a little bit about some of the things we're working on and some of the gap areas related to the zoning ordinance and things that we're working on.
To start out with, we're really trying to get a good hold on just starting out with our applications for all of the various things that are in our ordinance book. Zoning permit applications, use permit applications, special land use, site plan, ZBA, change of use, nonconformity. I found 17 various applications for Marshall Township. And I'm pretty sure we don't need 17 different individual applications to be able to handle all of this. So we printed them out and we're going to review all of those.
I believe that there is a way to consolidate quite a few of them. I am working with Rob Fall, the attorney, a little bit on this also. He is assisting in reviewing some of the applications, how we're doing our noticing, just to make sure that we are following all laws, all requirements that are out there. Currently, we're looking at BuildingNet, which is the system we use, to see if we can actually issue a zoning permit. We've done some testing. We've come up with one. We've done a few modifications to it. So we're starting to implement this. What this will mean for the township is when you get a zoning application, it will go directly into your computer system and you will always have traceability of that. Whether it's approved, whether it's denied, it will be there for you. Right now, I'm having trouble finding copies of the records, things like that. We can attach documents to that. So all of these paper files that we have laying around will have an actual system that can handle this. We're looking at when do we collect our fees? What are our fees? Are our fees acceptable for where we're at today? I've got a kind of a training guide through MTA that I'm reviewing to look at fees for planning commissions, ZBAs, to try and make sure that we've got this set appropriately for us. I do know that as I come in here, I get a lot of, we didn't used to do it that way. As a zoning administrator, this is my Bible. I will go by this, and this is all that I will go by. Unless this gets modified, I believe this is what we need to follow. So we're going to make every effort to dot our I's, cross our T's. It may be a struggle to begin with because people are not used to this. But I really feel that it's going to improve the communications, the record keeping, just the general overall feeling of Marshall Township. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Shelley. And we appreciate all of your efforts. I know it's a lot of work, so thank you very much. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the next item, which is communications. Every quarter, we provide an update to the Planning Commission on our goals. So page 2 of that report that gets sent to the Township Board annually has our 2026 goals. And it's just a first quarter update. You can read that at your leisure. But we have had some accomplishments and we are continuing to move forward with our goals with hopefully accomplishing them for this year. Are there any questions on those at all? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we are now on to new business. Thank you, Mr. Dale, for your patience. It is our opportunity now to set the special land use public hearing date for, I can't even read my own text here, 16, I believe, 969 Burlingame Drive, number 16-140-003-09. It's a new development of new corporate headquarters. Again, at this time, we are only setting the public hearing for the special land use if the Planning Commission would like to. We are not setting a public hearing for the site plan as we still have some items that have yet to come forward. This is strictly the special land use. Is there a motion to set a public hearing date for this item? Dwayne, do you want to do that at which date? The same time as we?
Want to do the date now, or you want to approve the, do you want to approve the?
We can do both at the same time.
Okay, I will amend my motion to, I move to set the public hearing for the special land use permit for Eric Dale Heating and Cooling to July 21st, 2026.
At 7:00 p.m.?
At 7 o'clock, the same day as the Kyle Paulus public hearing.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Questions or comments on that? That should give us enough time, right? Again, same type of requirements for that, right? Okay. All right. Hearing no comments, all those in favor of scheduling the special land use public hearing date for Burlingame Drive, parcel 16-140-00309 for July 21st at 7:00 PM. Motion by Commissioner Sly, seconded by Commissioner Woods. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We do have a public hearing date. Moving on to unfinished business, I will need Shelley's assistance on this. I don't know that there's an update, but I do want to answer the public comment related to Mr. David Brown that the fence is complete. Why are we moving forward? I'm going to ask Shelley to help me with this, but right now a new formal hearing is set for July 7th at 9:30 a.m.
We do have a formal agreement with Mr. Brown that was signed by him on April 16th of 2024. According to the agreement and terms, David Brown shall submit a non-engineered amended site plan to the Township Zoning Administrator depicting an 8-foot opaque fencing be installed south of the existing building and continue down the property line to the end of the subject property. This is where the question comes in, as far as I'm concerned. If I go back to the actual meeting minutes that were approved by the Planning Commission on January 24th, 2024, it says an 8-foot fence additionally south of the building and down the property line to the east end of the site. I have a little bit of conflicting information here. I wish I had a copy of the GIS. But what Mr. Brown has done is his property runs this way, it comes south, and then it continues back to the east. He has completed the fence along the road, all the way along the main building to where the property line ends, and he has extended it south, I would say probably 18, 20 feet. He has not gone all the way toward the back and around the rear of his property line. That property out there, I believe, used to be some type, Commissioner Sly, what?
Light and excavating.
So the actual land out there is a lot of fill material. There were a lot of issues even being able to get the poles in where he has currently put them. I do not know what decision the Township Planning Commission is going to make on this. It would be my recommendation that we do consider this complete for David Brown. The auto facility collision right next door to him, their fence does not extend all the way down the property line. There are other fencing issues. I really feel Mr. Brown has made finally a good effort to what he thought was comply. So I would like to ask that the Planning Commission consider this and decide whether we are going to require him to put a fence all the way around that property out in the area that Commissioner Sly mentioned.
Thank you, Shelley. Commissioners, any comments?
Really help me if we had some pictures of exactly I drive past there a couple times every day. I've seen on the south side, I've seen the fence from the front extend all the way down, but
I have pictures I can go print out for you if you'd like.
I've got it here on GIS if you want to look at it. Property goes to the west and then back, that would be south, behind Marshall Collision, and then it goes back west again.
I mean, just as far as what the fence structure is.
Oh, what he's done so far?
Yes.
Well, why don't we, it sounds like we might be able to get those sent to the AV site and maybe bring those up. So if we can continue, maybe come back to this item, would that be okay, commissioners? Okay, we'll take a pause and continue on. And let's move on to, we'll come back to that item. Let's go to Next Era Cereal City. I know that Shelley's trying to get those pictures sent, but in the meantime, let me give this a try. Back in March, I believe it was, we as a planning commission made a motion that we work with Cereal City Next Era. There were 700 plus trees, I think, that were not planted, and we as a commission said, okay, let's make that 300. I'm paraphrasing here from our minutes. And we would like those being offered up to other residents because according to the site plan and our landscape architect, the trees that are there along the site cannot be added. Since that time, our zoning administrator has been working with Next Era and Cereal City. We've gone back and forth a lot of times trying to reconcile this issue. They do not seem to be inclined, although that was a stipulation by our previous zoning administrator, to plant the trees. So they have offered up, as noted on our agenda, a pollinator biology and habitat. That information is provided in your packet. And we could consider that if you so choose. We could consider, do we want some sort of monetary contribution to the township for the 300 plus trees instead of them, bringing trees to be planted? It's really up to the Planning Commission. What would you all like to do? Or we can continue with our previous motion, is to say that we want to have trees available to property owners, 300 plus of them, as initially stipulated. So. Commissioner Sly. Oh, I'm sorry, before you go, Zoning Administrator Shelley.
It would definitely be to consider other than a thought right now.
I don't think pollinator biology and habitat fits in the plan. I mean, we're supposed to, the original idea was to screen the solar panels, and I don't see how this is going to do that. But I guess I would be willing to listen to their presentation.
Hear what they have to say.
Hear what they have to say. I mean, I'm open to everything.
Cheaper too.
Sorry. The amount of trees that were not planted were along the border of the properties of Mr. Steele. You have gotten the screening that was determined necessary all the way around that parcel, other than around those parcels, other than the Steele properties right now.
So if we got additional trees, we would offer those to other landowners.
That was.
And maybe we'd like some more.
That's what our motion.
Yes,
Yeah.
because according to the landscape architect, you can't just go in and plant them anywhere in there. They could kill each other. You'll have a big tree growing too close to a little tree, or things will grow faster than others. You can't put them, I asked about putting them up along the fencing, along the driveway. As they grow, they're going to create shade. That's going to make it impossible for the solar panels that they may be close to be able to be utilized.
I don't think this board is asking them to put them close to the solar panels. I would like to see them come in the house on 14 Mile Road that has a house, no trees were planted around that house on 14 Mile Road at all.
I have no idea what
I'm talking
house you're talking about.
Well, Jerry Bozard's is kind of bad, but if you go up 14 Mile Road, and I had pictures of the house, I can show you sometime. I can meet with you and show you sometime. But this house sits out in the open and there's no trees at all in it. This house houses people that have came into our community from medical problems and they're in that house and they wander around and none of their trees that they planted because of what Junior did shields the site of that house to the solar panels at all. And so they could be on the edge of their property, way away from the solar panels. So I'd like to meet with you sometime and we
Well,
can talk.
what I will say is the landscape architect confirmed that what the planning commission approved as far as a landscape plan minus those 700 trees, he confirmed that they planted exactly what they were supposed to. We did find trees that had died. We had some of them replaced. I go out there now every 6 months and drive around and say, okay, you've got trees, your grass is not doing well. We'll keep monitoring that. But I want everybody to rest assured that the landscape architect assures us they did what they were required to do based on the landscape plans that were submitted. Now we're kind of trying to find other areas
Right.
to do so.
Yeah, this is not a site plan issue. This is the agreement that came afterwards, that those trees that were otherwise not planted would be agreed to go elsewhere. So that's really the point that we're having, whether we liked the site plan or thought there should be more, that's done. That's completed at this point, right?
And I understand.
Well, I'll just, thank you, Commissioner Summers. I'll just say one comment is I am absolutely not supportive, willing to listen, but not supportive of having these pollinator biology habitats in the public right of way. And the reason is there's mowing, there is, other opportunities for capacity issues in that area. And I understand that the transportation departments control those areas, but I'd be willing to listen, but that does concern me.
There is a big push to now put these pollinator solar farms. And I did include some of that information in the past review.
I guess I look forward to their presentation because I have no idea how a bee pollinating a solar panel gains any public interest at all. So that's my statement. I'll wait for their presentation.
We'll gather as many opinions as we can and make a thorough advised decision.
And we will welcome them, obviously, come to July meeting, hopefully July, if that works, or August. But we would like to put closure to this. I do want to say this. This has been going on for some time. Shelley has been working at it for some time. And we can continue with our past motion if that's what we want to do, but we really do need to we need it resolved. So, okay. Are we ready to go back to David Brown or not quite yet? Okay, well, that's okay. I think the reason that we may want to talk about this is if the Planning Commission chooses to take action that what is currently being placed is okay, then potentially the July 7th formal hearing could be canceled, I'm assuming. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep holding on David Brown. Thank you for everybody's patience. Let's move on to item C under unfinished business, and that is we have a moratorium resolution and ordinance that was approved on January 20th by the Township Board. And we knew this was a potential, and we shared this with the board, is we really need to have an extension. We have not, with the amount of time that we have spent on the master plan and a lot of those items, it's necessary to request an extension. I would assume at least a 6-month extension. I think usually you don't want to have these go for longer than a year. So commissioners, is there a motion to request the Township Board to extend the moratorium resolution ordinance for another 6 months? Oh, Commissioner Woods, yes.
If I may, I had put it on the agenda for last night's eventually non-meeting for the board. So I don't think there's any reason for us to do a motion to put it on there because I already had it on there. We'll just have to see when we can get it in there the next time. I think our next meeting's on, regular scheduled meeting is on the 20th of July, which depending on how you want to count 6 months, do we go 6 months by board meetings or you go 6 months by date? If you go 6 months by date, in my view, the moratorium would end on the 19th of July, from the 20th of January to the 19th of July. But if you go 6 months by board meetings, then the 20th of July would be the 6th month. So that's the only conundrum that I've thought of in that whole thing. So, but it was on the agenda originally for last night's meeting, board meeting. We did not have a quorum, so there was no meeting.
So Commissioner Woods, what I'm hearing you say is that we don't necessarily need a motion because you'll already bring it forward. Okay. I would mention that Section 1, if this answers, or Section 2 of the moratorium says the temporary moratorium is for 6 months from the effective date of the ordinance. So, or until the effective date of any amended or now township ordinance or regulation. So I don't know if that's where the 6 months starts counting, but from this commissioner, I would say whatever time gives us a longer time to go by, that would be great. Any questions on that moratorium, commissioners?
With this being said, is not that I get more work going, but do we have a meeting and start talking before, even though we don't have the moratorium? I've been reading a lot of things. There's moratoriums going on all over the state, so I don't think they'll not know we're doing anything different than anybody else. But do we need to schedule some kind of a research meeting for our board to move forward and figure out what we need to do?
That's certainly up to commissioners. I think we were planning on trying to bring some of those educational opportunities, whether it be some of us have attended some of the MTA ones, educational, but we were also going to bring some people to our regular meetings to talk about that. But commissioners, we can certainly schedule a special meeting if you'd like, and we can begin that process, whatever is, it's up to you all. Good point, though.
I think we should schedule someone to come in and give us an overview of it, training session on it, or at least a presentation, not necessarily training, but
Whenever Joanna can locate somebody.
well,
I think
we have some contacts.
in past discussions, our attorneys have said that they are welcome coming to speak with us about this. You know, there's a class August that's going to go over these exact same things. And at that time, you know, we'll learn a little bit more. We'll be past, hopefully,
Right.
we won't have it put to bed, but we'll be in a different phase on the master plan. And with the attendees going to that 31 August meeting on data centers, et cetera, that's just, you know, I think that after that point, we can really get the attorneys engaged, helping us towards an ordinance. That's where we want to go. So.
I will say this, Commissioner Riggs and I attended a small training session on it earlier this year. And their final thing they said to us was, these are coming whether you like it or not. We're just gonna have to deal with them, but in the best way we can with our ordinance. You can't stop them. Especially the bus, because with the state regulations, they fall under that. The state's control if we reject them. So I just want to say that they said they're coming, whether you like it or not, and it's best to get ahead of it.
I will try to work with, Shelley and Dwayne. We'll try to come up with a plan that may include some training sessions and whether we can bring some speakers in here as well. And I'll make mention of that training coming up too for any commissioners who might be interested. Okay, I think we can move back up to the, so we'll wait to hear what the township board does on that extension. And in the meantime, we might have Mr. Brown's pictures, photos up on the, okay.
They're not on my phone any longer. And I don't know how to do both hands. What has happened is Mr. Brown has installed a fence this way, all the way down to here, and his fence comes to approximately here. This is the auto collision place, who is not fenced all the way. On the lower side of that, they do not go all the way to the back of their property either. And Bud's is, if you can, yeah, Bud's is up here. He actually has a fence there, but apparently we are still parking items out back. I'm not sure exactly where the bad portion of his land was, but if you move up just a little bit more. So I can see down, yeah. He started having problems, real problems, right along in this area here. As far as being able to dig down into the ground. He just was constantly hitting concrete and rocks and gravel, and he couldn't get his posts in straight. I do have the pictures. The fence does look gorgeous. It's the same color as the other side. It's very nice. It's not shoddy, shabby, or anything. So he really has made an attempt at some progress there.
So really, that was the last item on the agreement that he signed. How many years ago now? I can't remember now. 2 years? 2 years, 24. 24. And here we are. So I want to make sure that the audience understands and our public understands that we have tried really hard not to have gotten to this point in the first place. And we did have an agreement. So commissioners, I know I did go by it myself. So the question is whether or not really do we want, for clarity, do we want that fence to go all the way back to the end of the property, or is what's there sufficient? Do I have that right, Shelley?
And what you would be mentioning, this is some kind of, it would then have to come here.
Feel free.
You know, I always have a comment. Personally, I'm good with it, the way it is. I mean, if Marshall Collision isn't totally fenced in, then I wouldn't think it'd be right to ask Mr. Brown to do it. And I think the essence of the ordinance has been met, is to shield from view any of the repair vehicles that he has. So, and it's been a long road, and it's been tough, but I'm good with what he's done. That's just my opinion.
Commissioners?
No, I agree. I was by it the other day. I think it looks really nice.
Commissioner, okay, thank you. Commissioner Riggs? Commissioner Buller?
I have just a question. He's not storing vehicles out in the area where there's no.
No, he is not.
Everything's on the other side of the fence.
He's no longer parking in the right of way. He is allowed to have broken down vehicles in front for, I believe it's 3 days, 24 hours, 48 hours. People come in and they drop them off. He's an auto collision place, auto body place. They'll drop them off on a Saturday when he isn't working. Obviously, he doesn't get in until Monday, so you will see him sitting on occasion. But I go by there constantly. And I have not seen anything sitting permanently outside. It has all been, for the most part, other running, usable vehicles. And if that does become a problem, we could address that separately.
So we need a motion? I would make a motion that we deem Brown's property to be in compliance and cancel the formal hearing against him for July 7th. Support.
Who made that support? I'm sorry, Commissioner Blair. Any further questions or comments? Okay, we're hearing or seeing none. We have a motion by Commissioner Summers, seconded by Commissioner Buller, that Mr. Brown is in compliance with the agreement, and therefore the formal hearing on July 7th of 2026 can be canceled. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Shelley, for that explanation and working with Mr. Brown as well. Connie, I think that answers your question. All right, thank you. Okay, we saved the best for last, I think almost. Okay, we are on to the master plan. Commissioners, we have spent considerable amount of time on this. I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank Commissioner Woods for his time. I'm not sure I got all the typographical, but I'm sure you're going to help me with them. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. As long as it's not substantive, I'll take it. I actually found a few myself looking at it again, stepping away and looking at it again. Again, my role has been to put this together based on our sessions that we have had. I am going to just listen. What would potentially be the next step, should this Planning Commission choose, is to send this draft amendment to the Township Board for their consideration for possible distribution, and then notices would go out. And then in compliance with the act, we would then send it out and then ultimately have a public hearing. And then there's some other processes, as we all know from our timeline, that would need to take place. We do not need to rush it. We need to take our time. Don't let our sense of urgency overcome our sense of quality, but I'll open it up. Commissioners, comments, questions?
No. Mostly what I have isn't really substantive. It's more, that's my terminology, Englishing it up, making it readable and more formal and things like that. And I did have, let me find it more towards the back. Page 18. You have a picture of the Northwood Swim Club. I don't mind the picture, us having a picture of the Northwood Swim Club, but I'd rather it be green in nature and not brown in nature.
Are you volunteering to get a new picture?
I can do that if you'd like me to. I think a summertime picture of a swim club is much better than a wintertime picture of a swim club. Okay, I'll handle that. Page 20. The right column, third paragraph. Third line. The as housing for a planning focus area, to me, that sentence just doesn't flow for some reason or another, but.
One more time, Commissioner, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Where are you? Third?
Right in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Page 20, right-hand column, third paragraph. If y'all could read it. What is housing for a planning focus area?
So our survey, and my apologies, I don't have it right here in front of me, and we do have it on our website too. The actual survey itself had respondents be able to share what should be the planning areas of focus, or planning focus areas was actually the item. And what this is saying is that the community service respondents shared that 27.2% thought that housing was very important and 39.7% as important. But only 16.6% shared that affordable housing, or that was for what concerns are or challenges. So if you actually look, God bless you, if you actually look at the survey, we can say that differently. I think there's some other ways that maybe in throughout here it says that is it's defining what the percentages were for housing as a planning commission focus area.
Okay.
It needs to be Englished up.
If anybody else has anything, please jump in. I'm just. Page 39. Left column, last sentence. Low-density residential areas may be served by public utilities at some future date, and the areas fall within the public utilities corridor. I just had questions on what that meant. Of course, I read all this, did all my markups several days ago. And what I was thinking at that time, I don't remember.
I'm not sure. So we're on page 39 under.
Last sentence part here, coming into here. I just had identified, and the areas fall within the public. The low-density residential areas may be served by public utilities at some future date, and the areas fall within the public utilities corridor. That phrase, how does that relate to the previous sentence?
Commissioners, I could use some help on that
There
one.
should be 4 areas that fall within the public utilities corridor.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Can you repeat that?
The low-density residential areas may be served by public utilities at some future date for the areas that fall within the public utilities corridor. Does that sound better?
Is that what the meaning was? for
Yes,
that paragraph?
I think so.
Okay.
That's the intent?
I think
That's how I read it.
Okay.
up to you all.
How do you read it, Commissioner Woods?
I defer to your interpretation.
Well, I think the point of all this, and I know we heard some public comments on this as well, and is that we were really trying to define that public utilities corridor as our expansion area or areas of growth. So those areas could be low density residential as well, related to 425 agreements or just expansion. That's how I understand what we meant when we were talking about that.
The next one was page 45. Right under Chapter 3, Housing and Neighborhoods. The first line, item 4, consider the R2 to R1 for only certain established. Why would we go R2 to R1 instead of R1 to R2?
So if we go back to Chapter 3.
Sometimes I need help connecting the dots to everything, but
Okay. So that would be in Chapter 3, and let me go back to the goals that we had set when we looked at that. And it can be changed or adjusted, and find it. Hang on. So Chapter 3, those goals are coming from page 24. And if I'm not mistaken, so R2 is medium density residential, R1 is low density residential. And I think we have some areas where the zoning and maybe there's some variances that we are are trying to mitigate. So for some of the residential areas, I don't know if this is one of the issues with Squaw Creek. Somebody remind me if that was one of the areas where we have some setback or lot size issues where we have had to see variance requests. I see one head nodding. Does this ring a bell to anybody else?
So wouldn't that be more going from R1 to R2?
Because in that description, you're for only certain established areas to denser zoning districts. R2 is a denser zoning district than R1.
Less setbacks.
So maybe it needs to just be the opposite.
Yeah, that's,
That's up to you all.
Flip 'em.
Do we understand what that is meaning though, when we say for certain residential areas? Shelley, yes.
Just want to make mention that in the current zoning ordinance book, in the R1 district, your minimum area with sewer and septic is 30,000, or minimum width is 150. In your R2 district, if you have septic, it's still 30,000. It's still 150. Your lot coverage changes, R1 is 20, R2 is 30. Your setbacks change, but there is a similar lot size requirement in there out in those areas that have actual septic systems.
So help me interpret what you think.
You
I think this might be-
R1
I
and
think this
R2
might be even in
are
our
kind
current
of the
master
same out in rural areas where you don't have city water available. It has the same requirement for a lot size and lot frontage, but you're allowing a different setback in the R2 than you are the R1. I'm not sure why it was set up this way. I'm not sure if we're trying to go to the setbacks of the R1 by changing it from R2 to R1.
Well, I think this is what Paul
I think it's in our current master plan, but go ahead, yeah.
I think this is what Paul was kind of alluding to, that we have areas, and he used specific, I think, Highfield Road, and I think that's R1. And because of the setbacks for R1, when someone wants to put a shed or something in, they have to come and apply for a variance all the time. And he was wanting to change some of those to R2 because the setbacks aren't as great, and the people wouldn't have to come to the ZBA so I think it would actually go
R1 to R2.
R1 to R2, I think is what that should be,
If it was the
if
intent.
that's the intent.
I think it is.
Reduce the setbacks.
And I think in Squaw Creek, that would help too. I think, are Squaw Creek R1? Let's look. Yellow,
Yes.
R1, yeah. So they're pretty restrictive on their setbacks if they want to put a pool or a shed.
We are currently zoning a house in Squaw Creek. It has a 50-foot setback front and a 50-foot setback in the rear, and the lot is only 150 foot deep. He can't put a
put
shed.
anything in,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, if he had to meet that for any kind of an accessory, he had to revise his house
Yeah.
because he had to only get it 48 feet in order to accommodate the size of that lot itself.
So commissioners, what I'm hearing is we want to change page 24, number 1. It can stay the same, but change R1 to R2, and then obviously that would be reflected in our action plan where Commissioner Woods was on page 45. Yes? Sounds good? Okay, thank you for bringing that up.
Always like Steve's insight.
The county isn't gonna issue a septic permit either. Sheds and garage have a completely separate setback. So, residential setbacks. For instance, it's shed or like we talked about, a couple months ago, the ordinance started out very boilerplate. It wasn't designed for us. It was designed for another area, and the person that sold it to us, copied and pasted our name or their name was.
Now we're running into issues that need to be changed.
I think we've got a lengthy list of items to review in our zoning ordinance at some time, so.
Shelley's gonna find these.
Yes, yes, of course.
Weekly or monthly.
Or is.
Daily.
Daily.
Other than the Englishing, which we did phase 1, I'll get with you on phase 2 to spruce it up a little bit more. So, and that's all I have.
Commissioner Summers, do you want to mention something that you and I talked about, or would you like me to do that you called me about?
Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yep.
I do want to point something out, and I want to thank Commissioner Summers for spending time reviewing the maps. If everybody turns to the property tax classification map, which would be the second from the last, yes. Yes, that one right there. If you look on the map and you go to L Drive North and you see a parcel that is colored black, it is in property tax classification 302 industrial vacant. Does everybody see that? Yep. Well, Commissioner Summers was intuitive, and again, this is not zoning. This is your current property tax classification. So, so he was curious about that. And of course, this is where we're getting our acres, our amount of acreage in current use. So I did reach out to our assessor, and that is in error. So that actually should be agricultural. And it's my understanding he is going to make a modification there, however that happens. But as of today, just so everybody knows, this is the current property tax classification from the tax information. And I just wanted to share that one piece. So thank you, Commissioner Summers, for pointing that out. That is my understanding.
Yes. What concerned me was the classification that it says in industrial. And so to have some property owner come in and demand that they are allowed to put a solar field in there because it's industrial or do something industrial would be, irrelevant.
Tax classification has nothing to do with your zoning district and what is and is not allowed to be permitted on that
So, right,
property.
that's just a mistake on their
Yeah,
part.
that I believe affects the taxes that they pay, but it in no way contributes to how you look at zoning and what uses you allow.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. It is something that we include because it gives us an idea of what the land use is. So that's why that was there. Commissioner Buller, yes.
Along the same lines of them. Next to Mr. Summers' business, across 13 Mile, there's that little tiny red dot. Is that an anomaly, or is it a vacant lot and part of a house? And it's showing highway service commercial, future land use map. We take the opportunity to clean that up. Little tiny.
Let me see if I can. So it's on the future land use map, and that is the draft future land use map that is in the, yeah, here, Commissioner Buller, if you want to take it with you.
Yeah, sure. This right here, this little tiny, and it looks kind of like orange, like multifamily or highway service. You really can't tell the difference between the orange and the red. It kind of sticks out, and the little map is red. It's right there. It's an empty lot and a house. It's halfway into the house and the whole lot.
That is a mess. No. That is property that was resided for state taxes, and Don Jordan bought part of it, and some investment group bought the other part of it. It's the cement block building.
Yeah.
And the little old diner at some
Oh,
point in
Yeah.
time.
right
Yeah.
there.
And it's L-shaped and it's a mess. Part of it was lost to taxes, and Jordan's, my other neighbor, bought part of it from taxes, and it's kind of locked up. People bought it, and they probably can't do anything with it.
That's probably why it was highway service. If it was
Well,
business.
for Commissioner Buller, finish your thought.
For future use, wouldn't we cover it the same as all the surrounding land around it?
Yeah, because,
Instead of having a,
yes, okay, we can make that correction. So that would mean that that is the piece that we would have. If its parcel is abutting M96, which I believe it is, it would be mixed use then. Okay,
Yeah, it should be it ought to be reclassified the same as the propane gas.
okay, gotcha, okay, thank you. Any other? Yeah, Shirley.
Summers, is that the? Out there yesterday.
Okay,
About properties. I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Because it wasn't mowed.
okay.
I don't know who the owner.
LJO Holdings, is that the piece?
Probably.
13011 address?
13051?
13011. That's what I got on GIS.
I'm trying to get mine up.
the corner
Well, we,
lot is 1-5.
13015 is the one that I went to. That was the corner lot where the grass is up, the buildings are empty. It's a concrete building.
Yep.
We have poison ivy growing up the side of it, and it's now growing into the neighbor's yards.
Just to clarify, the little red indication is from 13 Mile about to the little cement block building, and then halfway into the people's house.
I thought it looked like the people's property itself, not, because the property, if you look at this, that actually looks to me like we have those red as the residential homes out there, because it doesn't touch Michigan Avenue. It's mixed use on Michigan, the other two stayed red, or are they red now?
Down, right, going down 13 miles. to the
Yes,
north.
because on our current map, they are actually highway service. So those two parcels, since they're not touching Michigan Avenue, would stay highway service. All of this mixed use, if you pay attention to this, I do believe that any parcel along here that does not touch Michigan Avenue, the zoning district does not change. It only changes to mixed use if it abuts Michigan Avenue. Those two red parcels that are currently commercial on, or highway service on here, do not touch Michigan Avenue. So that may have been why they were left red.
and that's based on what we had, go ahead.
No, they're highway service, yeah.
So commissioners, do you want a change there, or do we want to leave it? For future, this is not current zoning, this is future. Right now, we have mixed use for properties abutting, well, you know it, M96. Do we want to leave it?
Why would we have a
Okay. Okay, so change it to mixed use.
It's completely surrounded.
Yep, okay.
by the mixed use.
We'll make that adjustment. Well, I think we have to that's one of our items that we have to do. Yeah. I can read exactly what we had in our, okay. Okay, all right. So commissioners, if I'm hearing, or if there's no other comments, I do want to make one comment to Naomi and Bill, who are here in the audience. On page 35 of our draft master plan, we actually have the gravel pit mining operations noted in there. So if you want to read that or see if there's an error or anything, let us know. But that was something that we did put in there because you are a large operation here in our township. So we wanted to recognize that. So, okay. What I'm hearing is we have some typographical, not substantive changes. We have the change in the future land use map for the little red parcel that we noted to mixed use. Assuming that we have those changes, does this planning commission want to send the draft amended master plan to the township board for consideration for distribution? Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Riggs, seconded by Commissioner Buller, to move the master plan amendment to the township board for consideration of distribution. Commissioners, any other comments? Commissioner Buller.
I expect them to have questions to throw back at us, and shouldn't be offended by them not accepting it.
Not at all. And I want to make mention there's always the opportunity for public comment, as we had this evening. All right. With that, I'm not going to do a roll call. I think we can move this along. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. We have now reached item N on our agenda, and this is the Joint Planning Commission update. Commissioners, we wanted to make you aware that our June 9th meeting was canceled. The next meeting is scheduled for July 14th. We do anticipate having a meeting on July 14th, and we understand that potentially, and I say potentially, after review, and I know our zoning administrator is reviewing the information as well, along with the city team, the solar project special land use at parcel 533600003-00. It is part of a 425 agreement, which was linked here. It's the Udell 2015 parcel. Any questions on that at all? Nope. Okay. We have now reached the second opportunity for public comments. As I mentioned earlier, this does not have to be just on agenda items. Please feel free to come to the podium, and we welcome your public comments.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kelly Isaac. I'm actually a resident of the city of Marshall. Spent a lot of time in the township, however, right now. Thank you for volunteering. We need a group to act as a buffer between the citizens and corporate interests. And thank you, Shelley, for all the work you do. It seems like we needed you a few years ago in this capacity. I have read through all of the Marshall Township Master Plan drafts. I really like Chapter 2, Natural Resources, Rural Character, and Recreation Planning Principles and Objectives. Number 1, consider the health and quality of rivers, creeks, ponds, wetlands, and groundwater in land use and development decisions. And that's very important. As we were here, we had a downpour outside, almost tornado-like weather. And now if you look outside, it's bright and sunny, shiny. So I guess I came here to ask a question because I couldn't figure it out. Between the websites for the city of Marshall and other things I tried to research, I am trying to find out how far is it from Sailor's Landing to the offloading of the stormwater into the Kalamazoo River from the major campus. Can anybody answer that question? Okay, secondly, is the offloading of that polluted water, is that all permitted through Eagle?
I believe that would be Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, so that would be Eagles.
Okay, that's their baby. They would sign off on that, leaving no liability to the township to control the pollution.
Correct.
Okay, so.
That's my understanding.
Okay, so additionally, water, because it's a 425, would that be under city's jurisdiction to send an environmentalist out and control that runoff? Am I correct?
It
Okay.
would not be the township, and anything that on the map there that's either purple or dark blue, I think, or some of those are all 425.
Okay.
Kelly.
Yeah, I understood that. I just didn't, I knew that they were explaining that the runoff area was by the railroad tracks toward the west side of the major campus. Of course, most of the residents are very upset about that, but hindsight's 20/20. I just would like to say, please, please, conserve our natural resources in any decisions you make. If this is all we have. I mean, most of us want to live here, don't mind paying to live here if we have our beautiful rivers, lakes, and ponds, and farms to look at. But, it's just gotten to where that's a big, big patch of purple there. I know it won't go away, but I just wanted to say I appreciate your volunteering. I know it's a lot of work. It's not an easy job to keep all the details, files. I'm sure that you've put many hours into this. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Anyone else?
So would it be a possibility for the July 21st meeting if we get a response to Brock's email yesterday about what's left to be submitted after the landscape design was submitted yesterday, to where?
I was very detailed in that report, telling him what was not provided.
Sure.
You and I have talked about the fact that there is no documentation for a road. You currently do not have access. Our ordinance does require that you provide me with your permits for well and septic. So I will call Brock tomorrow, and I'd be happy to walk through item by item, but yes.
Yeah.
If we can get all of that together by then, and it is administratively complete, we can do those together.
Okay, so to be clear,
But
you're
we gotta get it done by the end of this week, because we gotta publish on Monday, correct?
well, if we're talking July 21st, that's more than Monday.
Were you on a timeline, Eric, when you won the bill? No, yet this year, or?
Yes, we were hoping to. Yeah. My concern about the last statement, Shelley, is that if the ordinance, the way that you read it, says we have to have a well and septic permit, that is spending money to get those items done before there is a site plan, which would mean, are you going to expect us to go to consumers and have them tell us where they're going to run the underground cables and power and everything before you will submit that to the site plan?
According to the ordinance, yes, that is required.
So just to clarify, Mr. Dale, this is not necessarily a Shelley thing or a planning commission.
Sure.
This is our ordinance, and in our packet this evening, and it's available online, and I think there might be some packets out there in the back. Shelley has put together a zoning administrator's report, and there's a ton of information on each one of these, on each one of the issues. I shouldn't say issues, but the items that are missing, yeah. And so those items are taken right and necessarily from the zoning ordinance. And Shelley, if I'm not mistaken, is it usually, 30 days? What timeline do we usually have to review?
The application has to be submitted prior to, the application was submitted on July 4th.
Yeah, so just to be clear, then every person that's built in the township has paid money out of their pocket to get to that point to where they can even get in front of the planning commission.
I think what you're trying to say, Mr. Dale, is I don't know what's happened in the past,
Okay.
but moving forward, we have a zoning ordinance. I think we've made that clear that we're going to abide by the zoning ordinance, and that's what we need to do.
Okay. So the next question would be is looking at your zoning districts there and then looking at your future land use, I see that the red highway service on Old 27 is no longer present there. How does that affect what I'm asking for in the July 20th of special land use currently as highway service commercial there on Old 27 and G Drive North?
It does not affect anything until that future land use becomes a current zoning map. This is the map that I go by.
Currently for now, right?
Until this is updated. If this changes in the next 2 months, while you and I are going through this, we still revert back to this.
Okay, that's what I'm curious on the timeline of, you're saying it's gonna be another month before the township gets it, talks about things, whatever. It could be 2 or 3 months from now. I'm just curious how it relates to our property on Old 27 that we're discussing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you will stay exactly as you
Yeah,
are.
okay.
You're at.
That's what I wanted to clarify, just timing wise. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Again, Richard Lindsay, commenting again. I had not seen these maps before, so it threw me for a little bit of a loop to understand what was going on. So I think underneath that future land use map, which is the new map that's being proposed, is the map where this entire parcel is shown as master planned being industrial. And so if I can step over there again, I just want to point out a couple things. I do want to, and we'll send a letter to the planning commission, we'll follow this, we'll make sure.
Get it.
Okay, so this is the current master plan, correct?
Correct. This was just put up for tonight's meeting so that we had a bigger view.
And that was what threw me, so I apologize for that. So I'm talking about these parcels. Showing this as a use that's not industrial. This is showing it for me. So my point of data, see in the state of Michigan, and that, just all these properties. So these properties right here, about $5 million. These properties over here, about $4 million. So there's, in that area, in reliance on your master plan passed in 2022, the state of Michigan, through MEDA, has spent about $20 million on those properties. And so to change them now to ag is not going to be something that is in compliance with that statute that I handed you. It is not going to be something that basically, MEDA is going to have to take a position with this relative to this and would like to do this in a positive way with the township as to those parcels. Now, the parts along Michigan Avenue, there's probably some discussion that can happen relative to those because as I'm looking for a definition of the mixed use, and I'm not seeing it, but I'll find it. But those parcels to the south, those two large parcels that are still white, those are key to the rest of the development of the property. And again, there is water. Yes, go ahead.
Those two parcels are currently zoned ag.
Correct.
So if that zoning does not work for you, we can consider rezoning those parcels. This map isn't even into play yet. So until that future land use map changes and becomes a new zoning map, which I don't believe is going to happen immediately,
Right.
you will remain, just like Eric does, you will remain ag until this whole thing changes. It doesn't necessarily, well, I guess the planning commission could look at it and say, well, our future land use map now says they're supposed to remain ag.
And we didn't change those. City Marshall changed them. Those were 425. Marshall changed the zoning. We didn't.
The zoning has not been changed on anything west of 13 Mile Road, so that is still undesignated 425.
The 425, the purple there, that isn't, well, it's not got anything planned for it. There's no construction plan. It's not, it's just big land.
It's not been rezoned.
Technically shouldn't have been 425 because there was no project plan for it. The 425 agreement requires a project you planned before it can be 425. Something slipped through the cracks or got ahead of itself. The other properties haven't been 425 yet. That's why Marshall hasn't gotten a hold of them and rezoned them.
I live this every single day. I know exactly what you're talking about. And so my thought has been that if we were to ask for this to be rezoned to industrial on those remaining parcels, that the answer would be that we're working on our master plan and we're just going to hold on it. I will take that back with Shelley's recommendation and say we should have this rezoned because it would be in compliance with the existing master plan, I think is what you're saying, Shelley.
Correct. And it would also be in compliance with your existing future land use map that is published.
Correct. Those were my comments. I did share the person that spoke earlier about where the locations of the culverts are at. I do want to state, just for the record, there's no polluted water that goes in there. The water that goes into all those culverts would come through the stormwater retention basins. And the permit is issued, I think, actually by the county, not by the state. Obviously, the state has oversight of it as well. No more stormwater can go into the river in that location than historically went into the river from the farms that were there. So there's always been culverts there. It's always drained into the river there from those areas. So if anybody has any questions, I'm glad to answer.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So how do we find out what the plan is that they propose to do the 425? Where are those posted?
I'm not following your question.
Well, everything's changed to 425 with no plan at all. Where do we find the information that okayed that to change to 425?
It was the township and the city entered into an agreement to do
What
that.
township? Where?
Marshall Township.
So can you tell me the date that was agreed upon?
It's all a public record, so it's recorded. I'm pretty sure Joanna has all of them because we've discussed that. Yeah, it's all recorded. I can't tell you now, but it was in early 2023.
So when we go back to the $14 million that was paid to Borders.
Not to Borders. $14 million total of those parcels I told you.
To Borders.
Borders.
They owned all those parcels.
Borders were not paid $14 million. It's all online. You can look it up on the GIS. So they were not paid $14 million.
Who owned those properties?
So Borders owned one of them. A woman named DeLong Prey owned one of them. There were 4 or 5 different property owners along Michigan Avenue.
And
5 property owners.
So
Yep.
if you want
Total, I'm
those
saying total.
properties transferred to 425, where do we access the plan for that piece of property?
The plan for that piece of property.
The development.
It would be in the 425 agreement is that were recorded and approved by the city and the township at the time. I guess I'm not following what your question is. You mean, is there a specific plan?
You didn't own Borders property when the 425 was done.
Did not, correct.
You did not own any of those other properties. So 5 properties you didn't own, so we should not agree to do the transfer like you're stating that we ought to just rezone it and change it over. But you're not.
I'm saying it's master planned right now in your future master plan as industrial. That was done in 22. I'm saying don't change that now. Leave it exactly the way it is. You're moving it back from industrial to ag.
What it is now. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further comments? Connie? Well, I'm sorry. You've already spoken. We're going to go ahead and give the.
Reference Jim Durian, and I didn't come up.
Connie, sorry.
No problem. Connie Wireman, Marshall Township, 16 Mile Road. I wonder, when all this began, we weren't seeing positive interactions with MEDA or the city of Marshall. And now we're supposed to be very positively interacting with them. I think, aren't we an independent township? Don't we look out for our well-being over the city or anyone else? Personally, I'm fine with your master plan. I think we should be serving our people Who cares what the city does? That's not my problem. I just wonder if this board, and I hope this board will continue to serve the residents. We pay the taxes. We sure pay enough. We don't need to have someone else calling the shots. So that's all I really have to say.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, thank you very much for those comments. So moving on to commissioner comments, I'll just go down the row here. Commissioner Redmond, any comments this evening?
Welcome aboard. No.
Commissioner Bullard.
Just a brief centers, rule A. Call or Zoom meeting. And prompted me to do a little research into the data centers. There's a lot of stuff out there on YouTube about different communities that have had issues. And I'm sure that they're doing data centers out in the middle of the country or out away from town. But the only ones that are really complaining are about the ones that are building them in town. I just, for the life of me, I don't understand why they need to be right abutting neighborhoods. It's, people are just in tears over the rumbling and the jet engines running to produce power. Because they have natural gas jet engines because the local power grid is never big enough to supply the power they need. So they generate their own electricity. I would have to be in agreement with them that they push them away from town. Don't snuggle them into town and have neighborhoods completely surrounding them. It's okay to drive 5 minutes out in the country to go to work.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for attending the training too. Commissioner Riggs.
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Sly.
I'm good.
Commissioner Summers. Commissioner Woods. All right, just a couple comments to the comments. Well, first of all, I just want to make folks aware, on page 37 of the draft amended master plan, it talks about what future land use means and what that point is. I will also want to make sure that everyone understands that part of the reason, a big part of the reason why the future land use map draft that you see up there is the way it is because we do hear from our citizens, right? And our survey helped shape that as well. And I will mention that all of the dollars that have been talked about, I think I helped pay for, maybe all of us did, right? As their public funds that have been utilized to purchase any of that 425 property. So I am very confident in the future land use map that we have drafted. And I think it shapes what we have recognized the future of Marshall Township. And as already mentioned, certainly this Planning Commission, just like anyone else, can consider variances or zoning map amendments as needed, but I will certainly support our residents and what I hear them say, including for special land use items. I mean, we're going to be an educated board, and I do appreciate everybody's patience and review. So again, I support our current master plan draft, and I appreciate the patience of our citizens as we try to follow our ordinance. So with that, I do want to make mention, I think it's been mentioned a few times, the Michigan Townships Association has a variety of training opportunities. One that has come up with various locations is Michigan Townships Association's Hot Topics in Planning and Zoning. And in that, they're going to talk about renewable energy, data centers, short-term rentals, ordinance enforcement, Land Division Act amendments. And so there's a variety of different trainings. I am planning on attending the one on August 31st in Lawrence off of Pawpaw Street. So if anybody is interested in going to that, please work with Shelley. This is something that we can bill the township for because it is an MTA event. And we can get, certainly if we have a quorum, we can post it, but we can certainly carpool. So that's August 31st if anybody's interested. With that, it is now 9:05, and is there a motion to adjourn? Who said that? I'm sorry, who was the motion? Okay. The Steves, Commissioner Buller and Commissioner Riggs. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Meeting's adjourned at 9:05. Thank you, everybody.